Series 3, Episode 6. Episode 60 in total, and this is the end. It's sad. But we have chicken, we have hot wings, we have the hottest chili in the world. Verified now. Last year it wasn't. Mm-hmm. It was slightly different anyway. What's the difference?
So this is, I think it's the same pepper, but it's a slightly different sauce. But Penteract is now officially verified as the hottest chili in the world. It's
nearly 3 million Scoville. Yeah?
Yep, it's 2,693,000 Scoville heat units. So over 2.5 million Scoville heat units. The first wing we're going to be tasting is 1,800. So that's a sense of the scale we're going on here.
Okay. So basically we're doing what we did last year because we couldn't think of anything better. We stole the concept from Hot Ones. First we feast, Hot Ones. And we did it last year. And we thought we'd do something similar this year. And then in the end, we've just done the same thing. But this is special because we have guests, so you don't have to listen to us eating. Every time we have a hot wing, we'll play something a bit special for you. And we're also going to be answering some of the questions that you've sent us. So the first question, which I'm glad somebody asked, is about the music that we have used throughout the podcast. And the question was, they've figured it out anyway. Do I write the music? And I do. And I'm never out of arm's reach of a stringed instrument. I can prove it. I have a ukulele. The intro music has changed over the series, but the outro music is the music we started with. And I thought it'd be nice that while we eat the first hot wing, if we could listen to the entire piece that it comes from, which is a musical palindrome using bass guitar and bongos. Aside from the fact it's a palindrome, the other important thing is that this was an attempt to get away from all the very overproduced music that you get these days. So I didn't even adjust EQ settings, or I didn't add compression. So it's a very raw recording, so you just hear the instruments. So the piece is called Reviver, and you will listen to it while we eat the first hot wing. So what is the first hot wing? So the first one is one that's developed by Hot Ones, and it's buffalo hot sauce at 1,800 Scoville heat units. So a relatively easy start. This one's got cayenne, vinegar, and real butter. Let's dig in. So that was some music. That was some music for you. And we've had the first hot wing. It wasn't hot. No, it was good though. Nicely balanced, tangy, vinegary, buttery. Just what you'd expect. Just what you'd expect from a buffalo. It was sweet, I think. Yeah, a little bit of sweetness. But yeah, just what you'd expect from a buffalo. So the next question that a few people asked is, why are we ending the podcast? And there isn't much of an answer to this. Really, it just occurred to me that I was done, that this is enough, that we've got enough. And it just feels like the right time. It's quite nice, actually, because it just feels like the right time to end. Whereas we've had the opposite problem with the press. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's having a happy death. Whereas Penteract Press is kind of suffering towards the end. So that is that. And I'm hungry. So and we have our first guest. So before Clara tells you what we're about to eat, I'm going to tell you what you're going to listen to. This is quite apt. It's a poem about death and love. And we love the podcast. This is really great. I really like this performance. This is Tom Jenks, and he'll explain what it is in a moment. So, Hot Wing.
Number 2 then, it's a green sauce. It is Smoky J, and it's cherrywood smoked jalapenos, agave, and a touch of cumin. So, let's just see how this one goes.
Hello, thanks for the opportunity to contribute to this. I'm going to read one of a series of pieces that I've produced, which either visualize or extremely condense works of literature. So this is in the latter category, and it is every reference to love and death in Romeo and Juliet in order of occurrence. Love, death, death, love, death, death. Love, 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 death. Love, 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 death. Love, 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 death. Love, 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 death. Love, 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 death. Love, 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 death. Love, 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 death. Love, 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 death, death, death. Love, 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 death, 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 love, death, love, 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 death, love, 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 death, death, love, 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 death, love, death, death, love, 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 death, love, 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 death, death, love, death, 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 love, love, death, love, death, 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 love, love, death, death, love, 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 death, death, love, death, death, love, death, love, death, 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 love, death, 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 love, love, death, death, love, death, 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 love, death, love. So in its physical form, those are color coded. You'll have to visualize those. Black for death, red for love. Well, thank you once again for the opportunity to contribute to one last time to what has been a fantastic series of podcasts. I'm very sorry it's ending, but pleased that it existed, and it will carry on as an important and unique archive of experimental writing, experimental poetry, and poetics. So thank you.
Thank you to Tom for that.
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
It's a really good reading.
So what did you think of that sauce?
I didn't find it as hot as the first one, weirdly enough. Very, very heavy on the smoke notes. Maybe
Too smoky.
A little too smoky for a lot of wings, but I think maybe a good sauce to go on a burger or a hot dog or something like that.
It was too smoky because all you could taste was the smokiness. There was nothing else, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
And the next question we have, again, a few people ask this. It's what's the future of our publishing house? The answer is we don't know. That's it. Yeah. We know we're not going to. We know two things. We know that we can't continue to make books, at least for the foreseeable. Yeah. And we know that we don't want to just completely disappear.
We don't want to do print on demand.
No. And even if we did, it would have the same problems as what we're currently doing. So we don't know. I mean, in a way, it feels like a break rather than the end. Because who knows what's going to happen? We had a meeting just a few days ago. We had a meeting with other UK small presses, and it's obvious that everybody's in the same situation. We're all struggling. We're all quite shocked by how things have dropped off over the last 2 years. But that's the situation. We are in crisis. The entire industry is in crisis. So it's a good idea to step away for a while, and we want to do something. So I think we're going to be going more towards promoting work. We'll do some digital editions.
Maybe do some events and workshops.
And events, yeah. That's something we haven't done much of, especially with COVID being taking up so much time in our history. We haven't done many events. So it'd be nice to do some events, and it would be good to see, on the other hand, what more we can do online. So digital books and things like that.
Yeah, because I think on top of everything else with the increasing costs of printing books, and I think there's also a consideration for the environmental impact as well of printing physical books and shipping them around the world. So I think digital makes a lot of sense for that reason as well.
Yeah, there are several reasons why. It's reducing stress, isn't it, too? I think that's important. It's always quite nervy when we have to print a new title and we're just thinking, well, okay, are we going to get enough pre-orders to cover the costs of the print? Sometimes it feels like we're not, and it's very stressful, and especially when you've put a lot of work into something, you don't want to then lose money. Not
to mention the work that the authors have put in first instance as well, and then us preparing and setting them up.
And that side, that's been horrible for the last 2 years. Every year, every March or April, we pay royalties to our authors. And for the last 2 years, it's been quite depressing having to do that and basically to apologise, saying that we're trying our best, but no one's buying. What can we do? I'll tell you what we can do. We can eat hot wings. Let's eat hot wings. So, okay, well, do you want to describe the next one?
So the third one is called, intriguingly, Stellar Fuzz. And it's a bit of a step up. This one is 19,000 Scoville heat units. And this is a sweet and savoury one. Habanero with garlic and apple cider vinegar and ginger. I think this one sounds quite interesting.
It sounds good.
Looking forward to trying it.
And we will leave you in the hands of Christian Book.
Hello. My name is Christian Book, and I'm an experimental poet who has contributed recurrently to the Penteract Podcast, hosted by both Anthony Etherin and Clara Etherin. I've stayed up late at night, drinking with these two friends on air, while we discuss topics of concern to avant-garde poets. And the hosts have asked me to perform a poem for you in honor of their last show. So, after taking a request, I'm hoping to perform for you a work entitled The Nocturne of Orpheus, a poem published as a pamphlet by Penteract Press in 2017. The Nocturne of Orpheus is a love poem, an Alexandrine sonnet written in blank verse with 33 letters in each line, all of which create a perfect double acrostic of the dedication. Moreover, the poem is also a perfect anagram of the sonnet When I Have Fears That I May Cease to Be by John Keats, transforming his meditation about the mortality of love into a mournful farewell by the poet before he enters hell. The Nocturne of Orpheus. For the maiden in her dark, pale meadow. This covenant of love in a dirge for a god has delighted an angel who obeys my plea. Each sonnet a rhythm for her to decipher, making legible a key in her dream of dusk. A redness that darkens the hue of a tulip is richening her view on the hill of a lea, dappling her vista at the end of my vigil, even if havoc calls forth ruin to kill me. No church, no chapel is a refuge in a storm, if we beg to be warm, yet let die the candle. No herder, no hermit, enchanted by the sea, has hitherto known the ennui of a coward, even when infernos in hell burn the hero. Radiant as flint be the ache of my sorrow. Thank you, Anthony and Clara, for all your support within the community of poets. We all appreciate your hard work on our behalf, and we all owe you a debt of excessive gratitude. Cheers, my friends.
The Nocturne of Orpheus was our 10th leaflet.
Was it the 10th?
The 10th. And I think it was 10th or 11th. And that's 7 years ago. That seems insane.
Yeah, it's gone quickly.
So what do you think of the Hot Wing?
I like that one, but it's got a bit of an after kick, that one. I didn't think it was that hot eating it.
It's building.
Reflection,
It's building.
I'm feeling it. But yeah, I like that. I really like the flavour of habaneros, even though I know they're very hot. But what did you think?
It wasn't exciting.
Well, for anyone who hasn't listened to the original podcast where we ate the hot wings, we've realised that Anthony is a bit of a beast when it comes to dealing with hot and spicy stuff. So, and yeah, Anthony copes with this stuff a lot better than I do.
Speaking of me, so now I'm going to talk about what I'm doing, because I have a book coming out in September. This is Knit Ink and Other Poems. So it's 4 books in one. It's my book Stray Arts and Other Inventions, which was published in 2019. It's my book Slate Petals and Other Wordscapes, which came out in 2021. And it's 2 chapbooks, the U2 Sonnets and the Nosson Sonnets, which came out in 2021 and 2022. This was always one project, anyway, in 4 books. So it's finally together in one volume, and it's coming out this September from Deep Vellum, based out of Dallas, Texas. And I'm really happy about this. I've also been asked to make an audiobook, so that will be coming out at the same time. And you won't be surprised to know that that's the next thing you're going to listen to. I'm going to choose a poem. I haven't decided which poem yet, but I'll find a poem from the audiobook and I'll play it while we eat the next hot wing, which is...
So the next one is another one from Hot Ones, Los Calientes Verde, a green sauce, tomatillo, apricot and cumin. I'm not sure what the chili is, they don't mention it, but it's again another nice green sauce and a nice summery vibe. So let's go.
Lilith and Hecate. Lilith and Hecate is a Shakespearean sonnet in iambic pentameter. It is also composed of perfectly anagrammed lines. Lilith and Hecate. I stirred there cups of hemoglobin true. There's magic in our blood, the purest fire. The night-time pours a red or cries of blue. Bright Luna comes to pour the rife desire. Horrific, gruesome battles, hope untried, are fought remote in scriptures I behold. The rip or turn of loss became their guide. Rise up, the rust of iron became their gold. From Hecate rebuilt their grips due soon. Before she put their drum to Grecian soil, I buried starlight shore, the creep of moon demure of air. I brought the serpent's coil. Rebuild me too, repair the curse of nights, before I rule through past demonic rites.
I really like that sauce. It's just got the right balance of sweet and savoury, a real fusion between sort of Mexican and Indian influences. I think we'll be using that one a lot.
That was more like it. So people know what I've been up to, what I'm about to be up to. What about you?
Okay, so I will be releasing my first full-length collection through Penteract later this year, and it will also be the last publication that we do in this iteration of the press. I'm really excited about it. It's quite eclectic. It's currently going by Selected Works.
Yeah.
As the working title. I don't know whether that's what it'll end up, but it's all my best visual poetry. A really colourful book. It covers a lot of the different things I've done, including the 3D calligrams, which were the first things I put out there into the world. Lots of different experiments in visual poetry, because I don't tend to stick on a fixed style, so I'm quite excited about it.
And I've seen it, so I'm excited. And you have a poem that you haven't actually made yet, but by the time the podcast comes out, you'll have made it. Otherwise, there'll just be silence for the next 2 minutes.
So yeah, this is my first attempt at a sound poem. So this is a reading of my poem COVID-19, which will feature in the book and has also been previously published by Two Call. It uses glyphs of birds, and they make up the metrical feet. They were birds that I saw from my window during the first lockdown when I was working from home, and I would make notes of what I've seen. So the poem that you're about to hear is the calls of those birds in the order in which they appear in the poem. So let's see how it sounds.
Yeah, and the bird that we're about to eat.
The bird we're about to eat is chicken. And ironically, we're putting a vegan sauce on the chicken. So we have queso sin queso, which is a vegan hot sauce that's meant to mimic a queso hot sauce. It's 52,000 Scoville heat units. And we have cheese without the cheese. So let's see how it goes. COVID-19.
That was really nice.
Yeah, that was good. Really strong umami hit. Really good
Yeah.
savoury notes.
Cheesy.
Cheesy without the cheese.
Well done, vegans. I'm sorry we put it on chicken. I would have that on anything, to be honest, so that's okay. I'd have that on some...
Broccoli.
Well, maybe not broccoli. Toast?
Toast. Ooh, it's got a latent kick, that one.
It's built, yeah, everything's building.
It's making my tongue tingle a little.
I'm getting excited. Starting with the tongue. Okay, before we get back to the questions, because I'm a professional, yes, in some ways, I have to mention that we have just published our summer books. That is Small Gestures of Endurance by Rachel Smith and Sky Earth Other by Marian Christie. And they both represent the Penteract mission statement. You have, in Marian's book, Sky Earth Other, you've got constrained poetry with an eye on the visual. With Rachel's book, we've got visual poetry with an eye on the textual. Inspired by the textual, in fact. Mm-hmm. So, buy them. And if you're not yet convinced, for the next Hot Wing, you're going to hear from Rachel. So what is the next Hot Wing?
So the next one I'm quite excited about. It looks a deeply evil shade of dark red, and it is a Bourbon Maple Reaper, clocking in at 73,000 Scoville units. So, yeah. You've got bourbon, maple, and Carolina Reaper chilies. What more do you want? So, I'm expecting a bit of a kick up on this one, so let's see.
This work that I'm going to read comes from my latest Penteract book, Small Gestures of Endurance. It's a reading of and through Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse. It can be considered a volume of accumulated fragments, an archive of associations, perhaps a layering and folding of domestic histories, a valuing of polite embroidered surfaces which distract from the smell of fag ash and swampy vase water, a process of fighting creeping doubts which have been handed down and across generations. It is an insolent but smitten neurodiverse reading, a noticing of minute moments, perhaps an almost imperceptible act of resistance. Fragment 2. Bodies. I is but a convenient term for somebody who has no real being. I am devoured by the text. Perhaps she was thinking of herself as the person in the book. She might yet be more real. They will be constructed. You find yourself fragmented. I am beside myself. She gets ahead of herself. They are not themselves. I don't recognise myself. All bodies are each other. They turned away from the view. And she is turned around, lost, relentlessly reading through the full stops. Reorientate, reside, take up space. Situate. Where, what, who is your orientation? Why do you return here still trying to put things back in place? A place for everything and everything in its place. I am out of place. She feels people, spending time trying to tidy her away so that her sharp, incongruous edges do not show. It seems odd that she tolerates their incessant need to neaten, to make everything match, mask match. I lean into her shadow, the inevitability of her skin. Her papery knuckles are mine as bodies tally up genetic history. Fold, unfold, fold, unfold, fold. I am folded away. She did not see it like that. struggling against terrific odds to maintain her courage. But this is what I see, this. Hopelessly discontented, a remnant of her vision. Things appear more clearly with eyes closed, but I cannot make her see. I look up. Caught in her gaze, watching me remember her ability to disappear while standing in front of you is uncanny. She turns away. Emotional black holes inhale. Lily thought. Lily thought. Lily contrasted. Lily felt. Lily felt. Lily wanted. Lily thought. Hi. I just wanted to say a massive thank you to Anthony and Clara for everything that they've done as part of Penteract Press and Penteract Podcast, for all the interesting conversations that have been had, for the boundaries that have been pushed and the amazing books that have been published. I can't thank them enough for their support in the work that I have done with them over the years, and I know that Penteract will be sadly missed, but equally I wish them all the best with their new future endeavours, whatever shape that takes. Good luck, look after yourselves, and we'll be watching. From Rachel. Bye.
You could really taste the bourbon, which is great, but it had the sweetness with it, which kind of complemented the bourbon, but I'm really confused. I don't know whether I liked the fact it was sweet or not.
I liked that one. I liked the sweetness. I didn't find it overly sweet. Maybe this is a difference between mine and your taste buds, I don't know, but I liked the sharpness of it, and I liked the smokiness that was not as overpoweringly smoky as one of the ones we had earlier.
Are you suggesting that I've just destroyed my taste buds over the years?
Maybe.
Ironically, with bourbon.
I did not notice it to be overly sweet. I thought it was quite nice and zingy. But...
Okay, shall we proceed?
Okay.
So back to the questions now. Here's an interesting one. Regrets. I don't know if this question was referring to the podcast or to the publishing. Do we regret anything? We've published some things we shouldn't have.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I'm not going to say what.
I think in the early days we published a few things just because we thought we should be putting a lot of output out.
I think this is just obvious stuff. I think you're going to make mistakes if you take this leap into poetry publishing. Your output isn't going to be perfect. It's the same thing with being a poet. And
yeah.
Not every poem you write is going to be good.
No, you've got to, you've got to make mistakes because then you learn from them and do things differently next time. It's the same in anything in life.
And it's the same with book design as well. Mm. There are things I've done when I've been designing, whether it's my own books or other people's books, that at the time, this seemed like a really great aesthetic decision. And I look back now and think, I shouldn't have done that. This book would have looked much better if I'd just done it a different way. But it happens.
Yeah,
that's life, yes? That's true of every aspect of life.
And there are things that we'd have probably done differently this time around. I think COVID was incredibly bad timing, as it was for a lot of people. It was just at the point where we were at the stage of starting to go out and do events. We had enough output to attend book fairs and make it worthwhile and things like that. And then COVID just shut everything down at exactly the wrong point. But
well, I was going to say, do you think COVID became an excuse because obviously no one was doing anything? The lockdown era was at most 2 years. We've been going for 8 years. So we can't just blame COVID on not doing more events. Do you think maybe that's somewhere where we fucked up a bit and we perhaps could have done more?
I think we got out of the habit of doing it right at the point we should have been getting into the habit of doing it. And then it's hard to pick it up because you think, well, what's the point? No one's going to show up.
Well, we did the Small Publishers Fair in, what month would it have been?
I think it was November.
So November 2019.
And that was our first big...
That was our first big fair. And of course, November 2019. So what happened next? COVID.
Mm.
Regrets for the podcast? I can't think of anything. It's just been wonderful. I've got to say, I've loved doing the podcast so much. I don't know why I'm quitting. I don't know why I'm ending it. I do know. It's because I like it so much.
You want to quit while you feel good about it.
I don't want to end up resenting it. Like the kind of way that I feel about Penteract Press, it started to annoy me a bit. I don't want the podcast to annoy me. So the moment I thought it's time to end, that was it. It's got to end. Because it's just been such a good experience.
No, I think the podcast, again, going back to COVID, it was very helpful that we started it just before lockdown and it became a good reason to have conversations with people.
Perhaps people don't realise this, but the Penteract podcast was not a COVID thing. It started in February 2020, exactly when the lockdown started. But we decided the previous summer that we were going to do this. So it was just a coincidence. This was not a COVID project. This was going to happen anyway.
More wings?
Yeah.
What next?
Oh, yes. And of course, we mentioned Rachel's book and Marian's book, and you've heard from Rachel. So now we have Marian Christie.
And next on the list, this one goes a big jump. This one goes a big jump in the Scoville units. Forbidden Fruit. So apparently this is a pepper-forward sauce, a secret mix of fermented peppers, and it jumps up to 124,000 Scoville units. So
good.
Forbidden Fruit.
Hi, Marian Christie here. For this final edition of the wonderful Penteract podcast, I'm going to read a poem from Sky, Earth, Other, my new collection with Penteract Press. It's a poem which first appeared in 14 magazine last year, and it combines two poetic forms. There's a variation of the trimeric, a form that uses a sequence of line repetitions, and then there's a Fibonacci form, with, in this instance, a sequential decrease in the number of syllables per line. So it was an interesting poem to write, but it's also one that is deeply personal to me. I'd flown up to Aberdeen to attend the funeral of a very dear friend. So on the flight back, I was reflecting on life and age and mortality. Flying into Gatwick, we circled for ages, waiting for a landing slot. Hence the poem's title. Holding Pattern. Land spreads below like old skin, crisscrossed with fields and trees. Pale blue veins fading into mist. We circle once more, look down, see pale blue veins, fading into mist, your wicker coffin, the elm tree. We circle once more, old landmarks fade. We look down, see rushing trees, land. As far as I know, I'm the first person to combine these two forms, the trimeric and the fib, but the inspiration to experiment with structure, to play with more than one form, to match form with content, is something that's come through reading the works of Penteract poets and, of course, listening to the Penteract podcast. I've thoroughly enjoyed all the engaging and interesting conversations about poetry, life, the universe, cricket. Thanks, Anthony, for hosting all the great discussions. I am truly honoured to have been a part of it all.
Thank you again to the seven poets who are participating in this podcast with us. Everything you've said, it means so much to us. It makes us not want to quit, but we're going to.
Yeah, it's been really nice hearing people's thoughts. That one was a step up
Yeah, you're struggling a bit here.
I'm starting to feel it. You're taking it in your stride,
I'm
but
fine.
yeah, I'm starting to struggle. It's nice, very, very fresh, very peppery.
I will say that's the first one where I'm getting that lip burning.
And I'm reaching for the full fat yogurt.
I'm still reaching for tequila.
And that.
The next question is an interesting one. Our favourite poll. So if you follow us on Twitter, you'll know that we do we used to do lots of polls. We don't do so many these days.
No.
So the question is, what's our favourite of all the polls we've done? I'm going to say as well that we had these questions a few weeks ago and we could have thought about the answers in advance, but we haven't. We've just... So this is completely off the cuff. And the answers might not be very good because I can't think of anything, really.
I can't either.
I like the ones that spark debate. Let's put it that way. I like the ones that spark debate. And something like, is all art political, sparks debate. Should we consider cultural appropriation a problem or a good thing? You know, these are interesting conversations. I mean, with that, you get some people who get extremely angry that you've even asked the question. But that's not many people. It's just that they make a huge impact when they decide to kick off. But
I think I can't think of specific ones, but there's definitely been ones where we've had some good discussion come out of them, and where the result has been surprising. But certainly the ones that have generated a debate alongside the results, they've been the most interesting, and that's obviously why we're doing the polls, isn't it? To try and get a discussion going.
It's interesting to see which way people lean on certain issues. But the conversations are what it's all about. It's getting people talking and perhaps changing their minds. You know, who knows? By the way, if anybody wants to listen to another podcast after this, listen to the last one we did with Christian.
Talk about
Christian
the polls
book.
quite a bit, don't we?
I turned up to that podcast with Christian and he said, "What's this about?" And I said, "I don't know. I thought we'd just do a podcast." And then it just popped into my head, okay, let's go through all the polls we've done and I'm going to get your answers from you. And Christian is so good because he does things like that. He was open to it. You know, the polls are anonymous and mostly for a reason, because no one wants to put themselves out there just answering all those questions, especially when some of them are quite controversial. So Christian just did that. Good for him.
That was a lot of fun, that one.
So next, what are we doing now? Oh yes, we have Moira Walsh coming up. So you can enjoy her poetry. We're going to do that while eating.
So you're going to get to enjoy Moira. We're going to get to suffer with the bomb, which, as we know, is pretty vicious. It's not that much hotter than the last one, but it carries the heat. I don't know why. We've had it before. I'm not looking forward to this one, but again, different to the Hot Ones podcast YouTube channel. This is De Bomb Evolution, so it's a completely naturally derived one, whereas on the show they have one that uses pepper extract. But yeah, see you on the other side.
Thank you, Penteract Press, for publishing my first book, the chapbook Earthrise, in June of 2023, and for inviting me to do my first interview on the Penteract Podcast. I'm going to read a poem from Earthrise called Nightshade at Noon, and it's in pantoum form, or inspired by the pantoum form. Nightshade at Noon. Heirloom beefsteak depression, meaty, cracked, and big as a sandwich. You don't need a buzz, milady. Take a rest already. Meaty, cracked, and big as a sandwich in the weedy fields. Take a rest already. Tuneless gravity hums in the grass tomato fields. Fatigue spreads like oil on paper. Human gravity hums. It's a sweaty September. Fatigue spreads like oil. On paper, family history of depression. It's a sweaty, sweet September. You don't need a buzz, milady. This is Moira Walsh, with all best wishes to Penteract, Anthony and Clara, and whatever they come up with next.
Thank you, Moira. No thank you to Da Bomb.
Ow. Like, I cool my mouth down and then a few seconds later it's just back. It's just, oh.
I quite liked that one last year, but now I'm thinking the idea of making a chili sauce just to hurt you is not good. I mean, that was just meant to be painful, yeah?
I think so. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm okay. I can get through it. Two to go.
So the next question is, what advice do you have for new poetry presses just starting out? If you want to start out in poetry publishing, what advice can we give them while we recover from intense chili heat and half a bottle of tequila each?
I'm assuming you want something more constructive than don't. I would say...
Don't is pretty good advice at the moment.
I would say think hard about what you want to do. Explore your publishing options, whether you want to go digital, POD, etc. Whether you want to go after funding or not, how much time you've got to devote to this, how much time you want to spend working on editing and book design, because...
Yeah, that's time. That's a good point. Don't get carried away. Don't think, okay, I'm going to publish 10 books this year. Publishing 10 books in a year, it's a lot of work. It's more than you think it is.
And I think it depends as well. Obviously, some of the books we've had have required a very light touch and very little input on our part because the author has had a really clear vision of how they want the book to look and they've given it to us basically ready to go. Others require a bit more. So again, decide and set your boundaries as to how much time you want to spend, and don't be afraid to say no to people. Don't worry about turning people down if they're difficult to work with or if the book's going to be too much work to bring into the world, if that's the amount of time you've got to dedicate to it.
Yeah. we haven't really taken our own advice.
No.
Yeah, we've had some difficult working relationships. Nothing that bad though. I mean, I've heard stories from other publishers and poets which are a lot worse than anything we've had to go to. We've actually been very lucky. We've generally worked with people who are really nice. I think the best advice is know that there's no money in it. Know that this is a labour of love. Don't do anything you don't enjoy.
Yeah, I think that's really good. That's one way to... Yeah, that's probably the best way to sum it up. Okay.
You lucky people have Richard Capener coming up in a moment. What do we have coming up?
Matasanos, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Real big leap up. So this one is coming in at 680,000 Scoville units. A secret mix of super hot peppers, lemon and vinegar. This sauce is simple and hot.
Anyway, here's Richard Capener.
Hello. Richard Capener from Hem Press here, having been invited by Anthony and Clara of Penteract Press to contribute to their final podcast, which is a bittersweet thing to be asked to do, but here we are. They threw the gates wide open. When it comes to what poem to read to mark their final podcast. This is made more complicated by all of my books being in boxes due to moving flat, and I went through the Rolodex of poems online that the psychological Rolodex. and none of them quite felt right to read. And then when I was doing a sound test on this mobile device, I found an old sound file in which I improvised a sound piece to the accompaniment of a extractor fan in an old bathroom that I had. That is what I have chosen to contribute today. It goes without saying, of course, that I am extremely grateful for all the work Penteract has done in the time that they've been active, speaking both as a reader and as a colleague in publishing. They were very supportive from the very, very beginning of Hem Press. Were there to sort of console me during many challenges that happen when running an independent poetry press. Alongside that, their output as editors has been extraordinary, publishing some of my favourite books of visual poetry, thinking specifically of Rachel Smith's books, and also just being extremely dazzled by the work of Franco Cortese. I never know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Franco, so sorry, and if I'm not, and also you're welcome. But also Clara's dazzling work as a visual poet, and Anthony's work as Britain's foremost palindromist has always left me delighted and inspired and empowered to create. I'm fully aware that this does not mark the end of Penteract Press. They're in fact going into a new phase, and I am very, very excited to see what they're going to do next. I'm proud to have them as fellow creatives and colleagues and friends. And thank you for all the work that you guys have done. Onwards.
Thank you to Mr. Capener for being so generous, as everybody has been. And, again, thank you to everybody. How are you doing? That was hot.
It's lingering. That was a really nice sauce, but it really caught the back of your throat and nose. So
yeah, it was really nice though.
Very, very. My tongue is numb now.
Get on with the last question. Oh, this is I know I put this one last. It's a perfect last question. What are we going to miss most? Again, I don't know if this was referring to the podcast or Penteract in general. So I'll answer the podcast first, I guess. I will miss the excuse to meet people. Just to be able to say to someone, be on my podcast. Please be a guest on my podcast. When it would be weird to just go up to a person and say, hey, let's have a Zoom chat, like to a complete stranger. But you get to do that if you have a podcast.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything to build on that. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah. The press?
There's always something about when you see a manuscript you really like and it really resonates with you. The thought of being able to bring that into the world is great. It's an opportunity to see things before anyone else apart from the author or their colleagues, have seen.
It's that, and then those moments when you figure out exactly how to present it. When you realise, like you did with John Bevis's book, that you had exact vision of how to make that book. And I've had that a few times, where you read the submission and you can already see it and how you want to make it.
Yeah. And I think as well, listening about they're a pain in the arse at times as well, but again, putting together the anthologies, so where you've got a theme.
I thought you meant poets.
But, you know, with the anthology, so you have a theme and then you decide how the book, you get to decide how you have to take all these disparate things and put them together in a book that looks together. We'd say like science poems, where we chose that look of an old notebook, or just deciding the theme for an anthology and how it was going to look, and picking and selecting the poems and putting them in order.
Yeah. Those were the days. That was when it was really good fun, which coincided with COVID, and I'm glad we had that, because not COVID.
Yeah,
I'm glad we had the press at its most exciting when we had to deal with the world at its least exciting. Okay, we can't keep delaying this.
Okay,
we're going to have to listen to Franco. Franco Cortese, our friend Franco.
He's sent us a very...
It's idiosyncratic, and in some ways it describes how we're going to feel as we eat...
Screaming, then sobbing.
Well, don't spoil it.
Sorry.
As we eat...
The Last Dab Experience. Over 2.5 million Scoville units. The recently announced official hottest chili in the world, Pepper X. 91% of the sauce is Pepper X. Yeah, I'm scared.
So the last one was 680,000, and this one is nearly 3 million.
Yeah.
But it is a logarithmic scale, yeah.
Yes.
So that's not quite as scary as it sounds, but it's still quite scary.
It's very scary.
Yeah. Okay, see you on the other side.
Hello, this is Franco Cortese. I'll be doing a rendition of a poem entitled I, or Ghosts, from my 2021 Penteract book, Lip. For context for your readers, this poem is a limit case multilingual lipogram. It limits itself to the exclusive use of the letter I in the multilingual version. This constitutes a Romaji transcription of an invariant Japanese kanji, which in turn yields a variety of distinct literal English translations. And this is for you, Anthony and Clara, as a bon voyage to the death, or perhaps just hibernaic slumber, of this wonderful experiment in waves that you've so diligently and deftly cultivated over these last few years. I ghosts. Being. Vessel used to make offerings to one's ancestors. Meaning. A dike or levee for containing water. Intent. A curtain or hanging that covers all sides. Authority. A windscreen placed behind the throne, made of red cloth with a pattern of axes. Robes. Something fallen, lost, or left behind. Rank. Counter for the amount that can be encircled in one's arms. Power. Added to spiritual nouns, indicate purity or holiness. Place. Uncivilized people. Sleep. Something easy to do. Dignity. Neutral color. Something colorless. Change or disease. A document exchanged between officials with no direct authority over each other. Being. A counter for ghosts.
Okay, how was that? Work off. How was that?
Deceptive. It didn't taste that hot at the start, and now my mouth and lips are on fire. It really didn't taste that hot when you were eating it. Just very savoury and tangy, and now I am suffering. Whew. How about you?
I think it was fine. You're right though. It definitely builds afterwards, but then it's the hottest chili in the world. So what do you expect?
It's tasty. But yeah. Oh.
Also tasty was Franco's performance. So thank you to Franco. Thank you to everybody who's contributed. Thank you to everybody who has been on the podcast. And thank you to everybody who's listened. I think we're done.
Yeah, I need to cool my head off.
Yeah. And we are done. The podcast is done. So thank you for listening. Bye-bye.